Hi, in this video, I'm going to explain how to work with socketio with Express server. In one of my recent videos, I went through the same stuff for implementing real-time notification system, but with Nest.js, which is another backend framework written in Node.js. So in this video, I'm going to take you through expressjs, which is the underneath server or the underlying server of the Nest.js, which is a little bit more flexible and less boilerplate code. So I think we can in the end also compare the both things or just talk about it, which one is which and whatnot. Alright, now socketio, you want, if you are like looking into socketio, probably you are implementing something like real-time notification system, messaging, or something related where you need to make two users communicate with each other who are online. Or it can even work for two server-side applications which won't run on browser but two different servers or same server, doesn't matter as long as they are able to communicate via HTTP protocol. Anyhow, this is socketio. You can read the documentation. How is it different from like basic WebSocket API? And it's not really different, it's just way much simpler. So yeah, just go through the documentation, and if you want to continue yourself, go through this tutorial. It's pretty handy and very well written. Now just initialize, emit some events and whatnot. And here's my YouTube video which I did a while ago where I explained um, socketio with Nest.js server to client. Alright, let's jump to our current video code. I guess that's what you are all here for. Alright, I have already written the code, so we wouldn't waste much time. Just import these two packages, express and socketio, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Very little to none boilerplate code. You just initialize an HTTP server on top of an express thing, then initialize an socket instance object. I will talk about this later, this also. So the basic thing is you forget about middleware as well. Socket.onConnect, that is the first event you will go through, and you can also forget about routes for now. um, if I don't know if it is zoomed enough or not, but in my computer it's pretty much zoomed. Alright, so when you connect to a client, you can say I am just printing new client connected, so I know like someone is connected. Now to that connected user I'm sending a message, which is this, given that that user is listening to an event, while as soon as he is connected the event is notification. So here's the thing, socketio works based on events from server as well as from client. um, Hopefully I can show you some of that in the documentation. Events, listening to events and emitting events. So here's how you listen to event and emitting events. Here's how you emit the events. This is, and when you emit hello event and the data is word, when, well, here in the server, or suppose this code is in server like this one, you are listening for hello and you got the argument which is the word world as the data. Pretty simple. And this is both ways, so you can emit from the server side, you can emit from the client side, you can listen from the server side, you can listen from the client side. All right. So now let's get back here. Now I'm not listening to anything up until here. I'm just sending a message to a specific event um, that may or may not be uh, listened by the client, but who cares? I will show you what that means. Socket.onBark. This is a fun event. When a client sends an event bark, I will handle that bark here, and I'm expecting an ID attached to um, that event. And when I get that ID, then I send that user with the ID the message that someone is barking at you. So suppose there is a user A and there is user B. You want to prank on user B, so you just have a button that says prank, and then I name and then select the user who you want to prank, and then you click the button. So when you click the button, you emit an event called bark with that user ID, and the server will do the rest, sending a message, or maybe you can attach a like command to play a sound on the browser that is a barking sound. So think of implementing a much bigger thing than it is right now. This is just a server side implementation. You can do it the client side as well. Now when you disconnect, you can like print a message and you can delete the session. Now let's talk about session. When uh, when you connect to socket IO, then here's something that happens. You don't have If you don't have stored the user ID or have some sort of method to recognize that user, then it will be hard to remember the user. All right, now to do that, we do a bunch of things like only the logged in, maybe your application says only the logged in users can connect to your socket server. Then here's how we do it. We take the socket and we take its query, and we see if the query has the param called token. If it has token, then we check token against our secret token, our secret, which is roots 491. That's my alias, but it can be anything, or it can be a valid JWT. You just send a JWT here, and you can use JSON web token, like that package that everyone is using, a JWT package to verify the JWT. And if it is verified, save the payload of JWT somewhere around an object. Probably this is not a good idea. Save it somewhere else, an external source like Redis or MongoDB. Maybe slow, but who cares right now. But don't just store it in the same file, because if the server restarts or crashes, your existing sessions will be flushed. All right, now for now I'm just checking if you have sent the correct secret that is stored in server success secretly or securely. Now if you have the correct token, then I just saved your ID in this object with the time when you got saved. You can store another uh, data like John Doe, and this can come from JWT payload, but since we are not using JWT, it's just a food for thought. All right, okay. Now you just do the next, and if it is not same, the token and the secret, then you throw an error and you won't get connected. Now if we add this piece of code, by the this is a middleware because we are using io.use before .onconnect. So like this, just use, then onConnect. Use will execute with the same object, the same socket object for your current connection just right before the connection, because the connection only happens um, after you call this method. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much it for the authentication part. You can make it more secure, less secure. If you have any questions, just comment it down. I can make a JWT based implementation. It's pretty simple, just four or five lines away. So now when you connect, you also store the sessions here, which is pretty cool. And now when now I have already explained all that. Now why do you want to store sessions? Now we have some routes here. when you have sessions of each user who is connected to your server, you can do fun stuff like checking how many people are connected to your server right now. So in your application, like if you have a website, and when user go to website, they connect to your server. Now then you know how many people are visiting in the real time. That's a pretty cool feature, right? Okay, that's one. And I will just run all these, but first I like to walk you all through the code. I will obviously run all this and show you all the methods. Then there's this method, you have all the sessions. Now a message received from query parameter will be sent to all connected clients. Suppose you have a emergency notification that website will be closing in 20 minutes. Maybe this is some gambling website or some stock market website. Then you can do something like this. Session slash all. This is a made up URL, by the way. There is no hard and core rule that you have to do this. All right. Now you have query parameter message which expects a string. Then you emit an event to all the users, and you send this message which you got from the query parameter, and the message will be sent to all connected user, whether it is 10, 100,000, 10,000, doesn't matter, and you will get this message. Of course, this is an asynchronous event, but it will happen in the background and you can just send the message right away. Now I will show this as well, I mean demo. Now similar to this, we have another method where a message received from a query parameter will be sent to a client with specific ID. All right, good enough. It's the same as this, but instead of sending it to all users, we send it to a user with specific ID. This can be also useful if you have one first user sending message to second user, or an admin want to send message to a particular user who is doing some weird things, or just a general hi hello message. Now you get the message from the query parameter query part of the URL. You get the ID of the person who you want to send the message to from the param, which is right here. Then you use io.to and then pass the ID, and well, it's the same dot emit and the event name, then event data. It can be also JSON data, but you send it as a string, so stringify the data. All right. Okay, now once you have sent that, you need to respond to the request, right? Because otherwise it will be just request will just keeps on loading if it doesn't reach its end. So just send this message that your message is message sent to a client with ID and blah blah blah, whatever the ID is. All this is pretty simple. Now let's get to the implement. Now let's try running it. Nodemon index.js. By the way, this is just one file. You can split the files into separate things. You can put socketio in a separate, routes in a separate, but I have lack of motivation and the time, so I'm just gonna do this. Okay, now I have already loaded some of the events here. First, let's go through this. Let me just close everything. I was testing before with this video. I hope that's not a surprise. Huh. And something went wrong while deleting this collection. I can just ignore it. Okay, an unauthenticated connection, which will look like something like this. If you connect to an unauthenticated connection, you will get an error message, which is an authentication error. Why did we get this error? We get this error because of this guy, authentication error, and which is all right. That's what we were expecting, right? Okay, now let's connect our first authenticated user who knows the secure thing, the secure token, which would be right here. And let's connect, and it is connected. And why do you see this message? Because once you call the next, you go through here, this message gets printed right here, and you have io.2, which is senders, which is the user that just connected, and you send this message. This is a real-time notification to a particular client, and here this user is listening to this event. That's why he was able to get this message. Okay, this looks pretty simple. Now we have connection 2. Now here is something I noticed. mm, I need to add a little bit of code, because if the user secret is not equals to the secret that is stored on the server side, then what should happen? What should happen is it will be authentication error. Maybe we can say invalid token, to just distinguish between these two. है ना? Okay, now server restarted because it's nodemon, it automatically restarts, and that's all right. But now this user is also disconnected because server restarted, which is again fine for now. Let's just put a wrong session and let's see what happens. Oh, we get the error which we were expecting. What a surprise. No, it is not a surprise, it is a standard response. Now let's correct this and connect our user 1, connect our user 2, and have some fun with it, shall we? Now this method has been explored, all of the routes, all of the if else has been visited. I shall close this and open the next one. There is an event called bark, which is supposed to be handled on server side and emitted from the client side. Now here you see there are two. We don't even need kicked. It was just something I was experimenting with. It is also listening to notification. It is also listening to notification, and here in the messages tab. By the way, this is Postman. Very good system or application to send messages while you are testing the APIs and whatnot. Now bark. If you do the bark thing, and this is the API to get all the sessions. You see this is connected at 44, at 46, so we connected probably we connected the user 2 and the later time than user 1, and I need to pass ID here as a param. I send this and the message has been gone, the bark, and when I go here I get the notification. This is a new one. You can check the timing. It's 2:42 and I just got received this message. It says someone is barking at you. This user doesn't know who, but I know because I just did that. So you send the ID here, server lookups the ID and send that user the thing. So this is a funny event. You can do some more things like this, like sending an actual message and two-way communication between two or more users, or create a chat room. This is just a POC. I don't know what I'm doing, alright? And yeah, these are just food for thoughts. Now this is all good. What are these routes for? Now I have already explained what are these routes for, but just let's go through them one by one. Both our connections are still live, active. We have already seen this one. It just tells us the connections which are connected to the website in the real time or to the server in the real time. Now to emit a message to all users, I don't know the ID of all users. I'm just an admin, so I can just send this message, hello from admin, or I can write it here, I hope you all have a great time. You all are having a great time, which we are. And I've sent the message to all the clients and I've saved this. Oh, see, I got a notification. Oh, I got another notification here as well. What a great thing. So it's notification that goes to all the users. Now last thing, not last but not least, take one of the IDs from here, maybe this time this user connection once ID, and I pass it here as the param, and I send message hello world or roots, hello from youths, and I send this message, and I see here I got a message notification hello from roots. Look how cool is that. You didn't do anything, you are just on your browser seeing all these messages. This is great, right? This is what socketio is all about. There are more features like room rooms, and you can like have this subset of users joined a separate room. You can like join this room and leave this room, and it's pretty awesome. And you can send a message to a particular room. Maybe you don't want to emit message to all the users of your website, but some particular subset, like here, like room 1, you want to send message to some room, but you want to or maybe you want to send a message to all the rooms except a particular room. These are all the possibilities, various things that you can do with socketio. Please make sure to check out this video as well. It is the similar application with a lot more boilerplate code and simplicity, and in a lot more manner than what this code is all about. This is just a POC. Don't use something like this, and especially this authentication model in your production application. This is just to educate you about the things that are possible. Don't use sessions, don't use secret like this, and don't use this method. Just use a library like JWT to verify your token. This is probably alright, but not if you are expecting like millions of users. Please create separate rooms and create proxies and whatnot, all the good stuff. Well, if you like the video, if you think it's helping you in some ways, do share your thoughts in the comment section. I will I will share this code in the description on the or the comment section, or link to the GitHub. And thank you for watching.